Alrighty. Here we are. Been a while. Though it didn't feel like a particularly long break. It was a break. This was an expected break. We're going to get to some discussion about breaks after the chapter this month. But we'll save that for later. While I wait for people to come in, what's been going on with me? I'm going to a wedding next weekend. I'm excited about that. Wedding of a pretty close friend up in Portland, Oregon. So it's quite the trip. I think it'll be fun to go, though I wish I could be there for longer than I will be. I'll only be there 3 days. So that'll be fun. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite. If you leave the stream now, I understand. I probably talked about this a little on previous streams. I got into Fortnite very minorly when they added the gorillas, and then in a major way when they added the Kill Bill stuff. Because I love both of those. And I just found it really fun. I am not a multiplayer gamer generally. When I do play multiplayer games, they're always co-op. It's very rarely competitive. There are some shooters that I like, but often I get kind of demoralized because there's people that are a lot better than me. Fortnite, it seems like you have a real fair shot, which I like a lot about it. That's probably because a lot of your opponents are probably kids in that game. And that's just one of the things I like about it. You know, it's a very corporate game, but what the good side of that is that means that it's very polished. There's very frequent updates. There's cross-play, cross-save on a lot of different consoles. So those are the things that I've liked about it, and they continue updating it. They continue adding stuff that I'm interested in. I've been playing this very, very dumb Droid Tycoon Star Wars thing they added recently. That is a real... that's like practically a clicker game. But, you know, I'll put something else on while I'm playing that. And, you know, aside from that... I've just been kind of going through my gaming backlog a little bit. I don't know. What was the last big game I played? Pragmata was the last big game I played. Really like Pragmata. Really hate the Pragmata discourse. There's been so much annoying discourse lately with things that I kind of thought about making some kind of video on it where I would go into maybe both the Pragmata and the new mixtape discourse, which is also super awful and dumb. People are making a big deal out of stuff that just happens all the time. They're saying this game is astroturfed when really it's just a situation we've seen a million times. Like, yes, publishers will give little packages that have actually happened with Pragmata. They'll give those to reviewers. And then, you know, sometimes there is a gulf between the critical reception and the audience reception of a thing. We know that. Critics, I think, are perhaps predisposed to like mixtape for a few reasons that the general audience, who is much more diverse, is not going to have. So I don't think there's anything underhanded going on there. But I'll leave that for if I do make a video about it. I am not sure if anyone is here, but I think we should probably get into the chapter soon. Let me just check here if the stream is going. Yeah, we're going. Okay, well, whether anyone's here or not, you know, on the assuming that people might watch these after the fact, I don't like to wait too long before getting into the chapter, so we will get into it. So when we last left off, our gang on the lower levels of Bamfro Castle were fighting these two new enemies, Day and Bast. Day didn't seem particularly powerful, but Bast, on the other hand, seemed fairly unique, and it seemed like he was generally unaffected by Moto spells and could kind of, like, cut through them. And he did this at the end of the chapter, where he was unaffected by Weebareru Zakher, and then he sliced Belgium EO in what looked like it could potentially be a fatal blow. So that's where we left off, and that's where we start here. Belgium EO has been sliced kind of at his shoulder. His arm is almost been sliced off, and a lot more of him besides that, kind of the side of his head too. Really loud vehicle or something out there. I don't know if you heard that. You can see he's got the little communicator on him in the top. They made sure to add that. I'm sure they'll go through that with a fine-tooth comb. We're going to see a lot of added communicators in the volume release here, because apparently it's very important that we know that they have this. So Belgium screams. You can see the Wibarera Zakir spell is still active by him. Everyone's kind of rushing towards him. Beh! They're all reacting to it. Dahlia, we don't even really see her reaction. Belgium EO! Maximum. So this did she do this in the original series? I don't remember this. I feel like there probably was something that maybe she did to psych him up. But she's not losing her cool. So, Maximum. My name is Belgium EO. Now they're saying it together. A demon with terrifying power. And if she remembers this, that's interesting, because she should have had her memory erased after she was freed from the mind control. Rah! I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Hate, 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 hate. He can still move? I just dealt him a fatal blow. How could he still be moving after that? So he is reaching out his arm. Fine, then one more strike ought to put you down for good. The repulsion power again. What good will that do them? So we know that doesn't really affect him. Gravity! So it just so happens they're not going after Bast. They're going after Day, and they are not using repulsion. They are using the Jakirdor-like gravity to draw her in. Now, when I saw this, I did question, why exactly is she so close to them anyway? Shouldn't she be kind of hanging back to make sure they don't get the spell vial? I think that was kind of shown last chapter. She did close. There was some reason or another that she was closing in on them. I just would need to go back and check what that was. But I'm pretty sure she did make the choice to move to them the last chapter. It's not just like a sudden thing that she's right there. And Belgium, as she gets pulled there, Belgium reaches for the spell vial. They're using Day to block my path. That sly bastard. Referring, of course, to Kyo. Boom. Belgium grabs the spell vial. Boom. Tia grabs Bast. And hold. Let's see here. Okay. The red-haired girl? Really? Tia, this is a classic Raikou face. She's exerting a lot of effort here. So Belgium slaps Day away. Ouch. Tia slams Bast to the ground with a, what do you call this? I don't know what you call this. Just a, I don't know, just a slam. I don't know, what do they call it in wrestling? Someone who's a wrestling fan, tell me. Retreat! Everyone retreats, including Belgium's chair, which skids out there. So he's still in a bad way, despite having gotten the spell vial. Saifogio! Of course, here's Tia to the rescue with a Saifogio. One of the spells she has. His wounds are so deep, one Saifogio might not be enough for this. Day Rakan! Shield! The powered up shield. But as we've seen, I feel like a few times in this series, people can control their spells and they can just move around the Rashield. What it looks like, I think, is it actually does hit the Rashield, but then it like spins. It's like spins along it. Dunk, 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 dunk. I'm imagining like the noise of it, and then kind of like moves around the corner. It's like a gear going around the shield. And then it jumps off the Rashield and shatters the Saifogio. I don't know if we've really ever seen someone directly target a Saifogio. Have we? Like, I definitely don't remember it if we have seen that. I was barely able to heal him at all. Bast, how long are you planning to laze around? Get up already. Girl's got some killer strength. I thought you might have cracked my head open for a second. They swipe more than just Patty's vial. This is, I think, Day talking. Several more are missing from these shelves now. What? So yeah, you can see he has a mark on the back of his head, some blood there. But he's probably pretty hardy, just like the Moto are. So yes, Zatch, in his mantle, got a large amount of the spell vials, and they are now emptying them into like a large sack. They have like a couple sacks there. Come to think of it, the boy wearing the mantle was definitely running alongside the wall where the vials were stored. So yeah, in case it wasn't clear from the visual, that is telling us he put them in his mantle. He like grabbed them using the cloak, which we know he can control. So that must mean they've more or less accomplished what they've set out to do. Plan R, get P. And what is P again? I don't remember. Oh, I know it. This is because the first time you read this chapter, you don't really know. So we'll continue on. I get it now. They're trying to escape. So they have the Weebarere Zakare in front there. Zakare! Wing flash! So, correct me if I'm wrong, this is like the 4th time they've used some kind of smokescreen or blinding thing in the series, I think. I can at the very least count, because I want to say that they use it, I think every time they use Weebarere Zakare, they use this. Because I'm pretty sure they used it against Gilliam and the cryptid monster. They're using it now. I think they used it the first time against Moses, right, and Libra. And then they did another sort of smokescreen when they fired Zakare out the ground. They were fighting Gil and Waig. So they love that tactic this time. Very successful tactic in this series. Also looks cool when they disperse the Zakare like that. Is this meant to blind us? Day, I don't care if you can see or not. Just head for the exit. If you think you can get away from Day and me, then you are gravely mistaken. I can still hear a voice up ahead. They couldn't have gotten far. Javelin! Boom! Surprise. Point blank, Zakare, through the Weebarere Zakare spell, being propelled as a missile. Bast tries to block it, but either he can't fully get the sword up in time, or the power is just that strong, even though it's just as Zakare, that it hits him pretty damn hard. Burns a lot of his clothes off. Damages his arm a lot. You son of a... So that was a cool move. I did like that. They're using that smoke screen, you could call it, to great effect. Impressive. You rendered Bast's right arm completely useless. Thanks for telling us that that's what happened. If you guys had seized the opportunity to flee like he predicted, every last one of you would be dead right now. I'm kind of confused as to how she knows that. Like, I understand that makes it, like, more entertaining, and, like, you know, it makes Kyo seem smarter to know, like, oh, they had a plan to kill them if they were going to fully flee, but, like, how? Was Bast's sword just that long that it could have reached them? Looks like I'll need to break out the big guns for this one. So now we can see kind of the full form of this sort of JoJo stand that she uses, which before had taken the form of Patty with this metal arm. And now not only does the arm look different, but, you know, the whole thing looks different. It's got this sort of star head, this thing on its chest. It's got a lot of fur. Half of its legs are furry, the other half isn't. And then it's got these sort of two star plates that are floating by its arms. She is holding 2 spell vials. One is like got a little some spikes on it. The other looks to be some form of energy, but none of those seem to correspond to those objects that are floating in front of the thing's arms. So I'm not really sure if that is coming from anywhere or if that's just coming from Day herself. She does have like a star-like, you know, symbol on her dress. So this might just be her power and what it normally looks like. It does kind of remind me of one of the spirit body enemies from Raiku's other series, Vector Ball, a little bit. De Bararamu Rakan! So that shoots a lot of these projectiles. The enemies also use like a lot of like Ganzu multi-projectile type spells in this sequel. We've seen over time they like that tactic as well. Tsuyoshi! So we got a Tsuyoshi here. It does the job well enough, blocks some of these things, but others make it through, and Tia is kind of blocking them with her arms a little bit. Zakerga! As the Tsuyoshi breaks. De Rakarudo! Shield there. So her spells start with De. So that does make it seem like maybe they are kind of her spells or her magic. So that's what it was. When that guy called out Javelin earlier, it was the name of a technique that made use of Wibbleraru. How does she know the name of that? Which means they don't have it in them to launch any more powerful attacks now. So we're kind of seeing that emerge as like a big part of these battles, is that, you know, our people are pretty limited in the number of spells they can use. It just in terms of amount, but also in terms of heart power. They have limited heart power. And it seems like these spells kind of take a lot out of them. Dan Gagitan Ryus! What? Boom! So she does kind of block that just in time, the big Belgium mouth with the blast in it. I made a joke on the Discord. The spell was renamed from the last chapter. It was mistakenly named in the last chapter as Gakitan, I think with a K, because they add the little symbol above the Japanese character to turn G into K. And now it's Gagitan, and my joke was that it's called Gagitan because the big Belgium head is Gagitan, the Ryusu ball in his mouth. I thought that was pretty funny, and that is not an inappropriate joke. If you think it is, you are wrong. That is just a joke about a regular bodily function. So there you go. So she does manage to block the teeth, the big teeth here with these shields. As the Zakaruga is still dispersing. Don't think you've won that, you little brat! That skeleton man is still so lively after taking all that damage? Jumps out of the way. Of course, it's all coming back to me now. Our gig, Belgium EO. God, you're such a gloomy child, aren't you? Better stay away from that kid unless you want to get cursed. We see cute little kid Dahlia here in their exact same pose. And a very similar looking face. Except she has kind of a Belgium looking symbol on her shirt. You want to wait tables with a face like that? Yeah, not gonna happen, little Miss Doom and Gloom. What was that in the Japanese, I wonder what he calls her? If you want to be useful, then stick to trash and kitchen duty. She just doesn't really respond, you know? So we're seeing Dahlia's mother here, who she alluded to before, that she had kind of a complex relationship with. So then, later on, the Devolo ruins, after Zophis is defeated. She's still kind of maybe dazed after that, you know? You were kidnapped by a really bad guy. Good! We'll take you back home now. It's sort of odd, like, American as viewed by Japan, like English as viewed by Japan delivery that Big Boing has. So back at this restaurant, El Sabor, which I think Sabor is just like, what is it, tasty or something? Let me look that up real quick. Could be totally wrong. No, I'm correct. Yes, flavor or taste. There you go. Unless Google AI is wrong, which it might be. Once you're done taking out the trash, I want you in the back pronto. I don't need you scaring away all the customers with that depressing look on your face. Maximum. What? I am not a depressing girl! She has the spirit of Belgium with her, even if she may not remember him. Kiki! Weird, creepy laugh. Even she doesn't fully understand what just came out of her. But she seems to like it. Why haven't you coughed up that paycheck of yours yet? You still live under my roof, don't you? I don't even have to ask. With how creepy you are, you wouldn't even last one day out on your own. I am not creepy! I'm moving out of this house and renting an apartment, god damn it! Kiki! I probably can't do that exactly the right way. But she is fighting against the people calling her spooky by being extra spooky. So whatever works. What matters is that she has confidence. That felt so satisfying. But for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why I just started speaking out like that. Now I know. You were the reason for all of it, Belgamio. Erumarayuga! Fire spell. That honest, straightforward boy who never holds back on his emotions, and is never afraid to take out all his anger and frustration on whatever lies in front of him. It doesn't matter what he looks like on the outside. This is a boy who loves to sing and play and spread cheer wherever he goes. And no matter how much pain he's in, even if he's teetering on the brink of death, which he seems to be, he'll always fight back no matter what. He is a boy who simply refuses to give up. Boom! Chair attack, as seen in the thumbnail this month. Took that right before I went live. Right on Day's creature thing. Boom! That's, one of his strongest attacks there. The Belgamio chair attack. Excuse me. Drinking that Dr. Pepper. You've gone far enough. And just like that, chair down, ladies and gentlemen. Chair down. What happens now? Can he get it back? Like, we don't know. We don't know what happens. I don't remember if we saw the chair being destroyed, like, as his book was burned at the end of the kiddo fight. Or if the chair was whole and just kind of went back with him. I honestly don't remember. But in any case, the chair is pretty well destroyed now. And Belgam's not looking too good. No! Gigano Reus! Silence. It's not working! But why? Gigano Reus! Dahlia's used up all of her heart energy. We need to provide cover so Belgam can escape. Gravity! Doom. Just like that, all the Weebarera Zakare discs destroyed once again. Get out of there now! Belgam! So, this is another question of, like, is this the first time we're seeing this in either series? I feel like you don't often see people run out of heart power, like, mid-battle and, like, try to cast a spell and then they can't. I feel like maybe that might have happened once or twice in the original series. But once again, I don't really remember. This does seem like a pretty unique situation. Normally, someone running out of heart power, the situation will be, like, right at the end of the battle. They'll win or it'll be a draw, like with Rops and Apollo. And then they'll be like, oh, we're both out of heart power. It'll be like a situation like that. The battle's already over, and then a character's like, yeah, I'm out of heart power anyway. I feel like it's pretty rare that we see someone run out and then, like, realize that they've run out in mid-battle. So, Belgam is about to get hit because the Weebarera Zakare spell was dispersed. And, from what Day said, it seems like Zatch and Kyo might not have many options left to defend at this point. Belgam sinks to his knees. Masa Shield! So it seems like he kind of gets right past the Masa Shield, kind of slices right through it. But they're still trying to protect Belgam. Day! Gorudona down! Big spell. All these floating kind of spinning star discs coming down. There's 3 of them, but they have a bunch of these, like, glass shards surrounding them. There's a lot going on in this spread. We got Tia. We got Bast, who's was trying to, hit Belgam. We got Masha Shield, which has been destroyed, of course. We have Day and her spirit thing, which are summoning this big spell. We got Belgam, who can't move. We got Dahlia, who's just kind of flipping out. And then suddenly, kind of comes in. We see this arm. Weirdly, I think the first time I was looking at this, I didn't see the left side of the spread, I don't think. The chapter still works without it, but I think I, like, maybe just immediately zoomed in on the right side just to look at the image better. And then I think I didn't see the left side, so I didn't see, like, the lead up with the hooves, with Ponygon's hooves, and then this arm here with the bracelet. Garia Gyakuru! Man's voice. Boom! Big water spell. We saw Day use this spell earlier with these sort of dragon-like fin spike things that are surrounding it. Easily blasts through Day's attack as we see someone who has cast this spell. Pretty clear who that is. And it's a big, powerful water beam. Despite Day, all of Day's talk about how strong, oh, my spells are just as strong as the original, kind of seems like maybe they weren't. Doom, doom. Everyone reacting to this. Dahlia's crying. Spellgun was saved. Everyone's happy. Kyo's amazed. There's Sunbeam on Polygon. Still haven't gotten to do much, but he's coming in clutch. And near them is Yuri, or Uluru, as he was called. I think is his actual name. Who is a little bit older with a beard. Otherwise, he looks the same. A lot of people say he looks like Hige, who we saw earlier in this series. And this Momoto walks past Belgum and pats him on the back with her armored arm, just like we saw on the spirit, with the water dragon bracelet on her hand. Belgum turns and cries, and we see, of course, that this is Patty, newly resurrected, with this arm, which we see kind of seems to sort of have come with the bracelet when she received the bracelet. The arm was not really a feature of Day's manifestation of Patty. The arm actually came straight from the real Patty. And it is the only major change to her character design. The rest is pretty similar. You really gave it your all out there, didn't you, Ebo? She comforts Belgum, who is like a son to her. And that is the end of Chapter 39 of Zatch Bell 2. Really good action-packed chapter, some great fighting, some great strategery in this one. And man, I just, wish we were getting more. It's going to be a bit, which we'll get to shortly. So, kind of a big surprise for me this chapter was no Brago fight. No Brago and the mysterious Zabrit brother, who is going to go after him and I think give him a pretty hard time. So let me pull this up for a second. For after we get through these pages, I will read something of importance. But here we have a cool ad. This was, I think, revealed when this chapter was released, this campaign. I don't think this was known about previously. The Kojiki no Gash 25th Anniversary Online Raffle. Win exclusive merch featuring brand new illustrations in this upcoming event. So these illustrations, they are done in sort of like a more anime style than Raikou would normally draw. Like, they don't look like they were colored by Raikou. I still feel like they might have been drawn by him, because this is very much his current style for these characters. You can see Zatch with all the definition in his hair. You can see Conchime with, like, the more rounded mouth. And so I'm not really sure if it was colored by Raikou. I do think it might have been drawn by him. Brago also kind of has the spikier hair. But the theme of this, which I actually didn't notice when I saw it at first, is rivalries, which is pretty cool. So you can, I guess, maybe win goods. It says tapestry, acrylic stand, charms, clear files, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff you normally get here. And I guess, I assume they come in pairs because the theme is rivalries here. So in these groups of rivals, we have Zatch and Zeno. Of course, we have Brago and Zophis. We have Bowery and Keith. Raya and Zaurchim. Momon and Rodu, which is interesting. That's a little tenuous, I think, Polygon and Carudio. Kiddo and Belgum. Also maybe a little tenuous. I guess there was a fight there. And Conchime and Gorm, which I think does make quite a bit of sense. Sadly, yet again, Tia kind of getting the short shrift here. Normally, she at least does, get to be in this stuff. She's just, included after Conchime, Zatch, Polygon, and Brago, normally. In, the order of things. Sadly, she's not in this at all, because I think the only thing that was kind of close to a rival for her was Maruse, who I think maybe just isn't as iconic as some of these other characters. Maybe was a little too early in the series, you know. So sadly, Tia does not get to be in this at all, but pretty much every other main character does. Wanrei, though, Wanrei's not in here either, so if that's any consolation. I guess his rival would have been Uko Tintin. So we have some other exciting stuff, some of which I'm also seeing for the first time when I saw for the first time when I read this chapter. These figures, I think, were announced the same day as the chapter. I saw these on Twitter before I read it. Mushute figures, I think that's the brand. These are pretty awesome, of Zatch and Conchime. These are also pretty, like, modern designs. I think they're sort of inspired by Raiku's modern style. And I don't know if this whole line of figures, if the thing is that they have the effects in there. But, yeah, it's neat. Conchime may be that the Cloud could be positioned differently, I think. Maybe give him the wrong impression about what his powers are. But then Zatch has kind of got a Rousaruk thing going on there. Then we have some cute plushes, which, for once, Tia actually does get in the first wave of these. So, congratulations. The wave 1 is Zatch and Kyo and Megumi and Tia. Wave 2 is Fulgore, Conchime, Sunbeam, Ponygon. Wave 3 is Sherry, Barago, Wanrei, and Lien. So, in the opinion of the people who made these, who are making these plushes, Wanrei and Lien are like the 6th rank characters. And then we have the Mochi Noki shop. Some new stuff there. Manga panel t-shirts. These are kind of lame, you know. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are going to want them, but manga panel stickers, which are a little more neat because some of them are colored. So here we go. So next, the usual credits. Thanks to our Scantillation team for your hard work every month. They are continuing the redo of the original series. But yeah, Zatch Gamer X, Red Diamond, DMGP, and Vivalias. Thank you to them. And then we have a final note about the nickname for Belgium EO, Ebo, that Patty gives him at the end of the chapter. This is Patty's nickname for Belgium EO. It's pronounced Ebo and is a play on the words that is meant to rhyme with part of his actual name, EO. Which we've questioned, where does the EO come from? I don't remember if there was... I remember what my theory was. I don't remember if there was, like, something someone came up with that was, like, a lot better than what I thought of. People have come up with a lot of good stuff, you know, surrounding, like, the Easter egg and Zatch Bell characters. Some of it's become very clear, like Pirio being based on Leonardo DiCaprio. Some of it's not quite as clear. So I don't remember if there was, like, a great explanation. I remember my theory is that Belgium is slightly inspired by Michael Jackson's Thriller, the zombies in that, and that EO comes from Captain EO, which was a Michael Jackson thing at Disney. It was a 3D short film you could watch. I honestly don't remember if there was a better explanation out there. That was my theory. In any case, the bow is used as a motherly term of endearment that is combined with Belgium's name. If it were to be directly translated, it would be something like Little EO, or maybe E-Boy, which, thank God, they did not translate it as that. Excuse me. The translation team decided that it would be best to keep this name as faithful to the original Japanese as possible, to preserve the portmanteau, and make sure it still rolls off the tongue the way it was intended. So, I feel like if I thought about it enough, I could probably think of some other anime characters that have that bow suffix at the end that are, like, little kids. None really come to mind right now, but I do feel like I have seen that in some, you know, animes before. But that's a nickname since Belgumio is kind of like Patty's adopted son. So before I talk maybe a little bit more about the chapters, there's, you know, all in all, not too much to say about it. Hey, what's up? Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I'm kind of starting to wrap up a little bit here, but the stream will be there for anyone to watch after it's finished, so please do if you want. So I think I'll discuss the chapter maybe a little more after this, but I do want to get to the news that came out, I think, a day or two later from Raikou. And I will read this tweet. It was the translated version from Twitter. He says he's grateful for the feedback that this chapter received. It had a huge response, probably because of Patty. She's a popular character. He says, and I'm so sorry. I took a break last month, and I've only just managed to update this month. But there might be a chance I'll have to take a break next month, too. For a while, I'll be switching to a work schedule that sticks to the calendar holidays, including New Year's and Oban breaks, and avoids overtime as much as possible. Over the past year and a half or so, I've been dealing with chronic fatigue, and even when I rest, the exhaustion doesn't go away. It's been a continuous state of overwork. Lately, I've started thinking to myself that this is getting dangerous. The worst part was that I kept pushing myself with this mentality of I absolutely have to update at least once a month, hounding myself 365 days a year. So to interrupt, that does kind of explain why whenever he announced breaks with Zatch Bell, even if they kind of came with some regularity of 3 months on, 1 month off, the announcement would always be as if they were not planned. And it kind of seems like he really tried not to have any breaks. They just ended up happening with some regularity due to the way things shook out. But it seems like if he had it his way, he would have wanted to do a chapter a month for the whole year. It was intense stress. The stress was my number one enemy. Before long, I'd catch colds easily, pick up viruses, and even jogging would leave my body feeling weaker, a vicious cycle that kept repeating. For now, through the end of this year, I'll focus on recovery with a no overtime work routine, and starting next year, I want to get back to at least my current pace at minimum. That said, with this no overtime lifestyle, my mental state and physical strength are improving more than I expected, so I'm also hoping that I might be able to pick up the update pace beyond what I'm doing now without having to wait until next year. Truth be told, I'm already feeling quite a bit better right now. To the readers looking forward to Gash, I am truly sorry, and I appreciate your continued support for Golden Gash 2. So that's from Raikou, and, what's specifically being announced is not super clear. I think there almost certainly will be a break next month. I think he probably wouldn't have even have made this tweet if he thought there was a good chance that there would be a chapter next month. So we're kind of getting this chapter just alone in between break months. Which is not a usual situation, but, clearly he's kind of been suffering a lot. Raikou's always posted on Twitter about a lot of kind of medical problems, and, you kind of got the vibe that maybe he was a bit of a hypochondriac, and I don't know the guy, I don't know what he's like. Clearly there were real issues happening there. And thankfully, it seems like he's already kind of found a way to deal with those. As we know, being a manga artist is hard, being a manga author, even if you have assistants, especially if you're over 50 like Raikou, it can be really tough. You have to take more breaks. The series can suffer, especially art-wise if an artist isn't taking care of themselves. And, changes do have to be made if, not only if they want to keep the series going at the quality that it's going, but also if they just want to be healthy, period. I think Raikou's gotten a lot of support from this in the responses here. A lot of people are very supporting of Raikou's choices here. It seems like he really was very exhausted, and changes really do simply need to be made. What I think will probably happen is after the break this month, Zatch Bell 2 will probably come back with a different schedule, whether that is just having a chapter every month except for the holidays he mentioned, or whether that's something like a chapter every 45 days with regularity, and, not updating on the 13th of every month, updating on a different day every month, and then also having those breaks. I don't really know what's going to happen, but, I think if they're talking about avoiding overtime, then that means the chapters may get finished at different times. Different pages are might be more difficult to draw. One chapter might have more fighting, one chapter might have more dialogue. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. We'll kind of have to wait and see. But clearly, Raikou needs to kind of make changes to his schedule. And I hope that, when he comes back, even though he's saying, oh, I might be able to increase my pace beyond what it was before, I hope that he won't start stressing himself and exhausting himself again. Excuse me. And that, he'll keep to a healthy pace. And I think that will make the series better for it, for him making those choices and hopefully his assistants, keeping good schedules as well. Obviously I want Zatch Bell 2 to be the best it can be. I want Raikou to be healthy because that's when he can do the best work for us and himself. So that is pretty big news. It's a little depressing to hear in the moment, but I think in a few months we're going to see that it was the right choice. Beyond that and the merch, there's no other Zatch Bell news. So we can get back to discussing the chapter. So I think this arc is not over yet by quite a lot. I think we're maybe only halfway or even less done with this arc. Patty's just been introduced. Right now, it seems like the enemies are on the ropes. I don't think that's going to happen for long. I think they have stuff. Bast was holding like this weird orb thing. Looked like a melon. I think he'll use that. I think they have other tactics they can use. Both of them are damaged, but they're not too damaged. And I think they will put up a fight against Patty. And it's especially important that it seems like both Zatch and Belgum will kind of be out of commission now. Kyo can still use his strategy. And, maybe they'll get back enough hard energy to do like one more spell near the end. But I think now we may just be focusing on seeing Tia and Ponygon. And now Patty is sort of going to be the main combatant for the rest of this fight, fighting these two enemies. I think we will see a little bit more of that fight. I kind of do want to get to Brago's fight first, and then, whatever Conchame and Coral Q are doing. If they split up, I forget, maybe they were splitting up last chapter, I don't remember. But I don't know if we're going to get to that next time, because this fight is clearly going to continue with Patty. But yeah, I mean, very exciting to see Patty. I do like that, this series continues to kind of shuffle the characters that we're getting back. The order that we might expect to get them back in is not the order that we're getting them back in. And Patty is clearly super powerful. I don't know how she compares to Brago, but I think she's at least as good as the Barry without spells, that we saw. And she's got this crazy gauntlet now with the Water Dragon's power, so I think she's going to win against these two. Pretty sure about that. And we did not have to see what happens when Yamamoto is defeated or, killed in this fight. I was kind of leaning towards that happening this chapter. I was like maybe 60-40 on Belgum being killed or having the book reburned or like whatever that was happening and having to see that. I felt like Belgum would kind of be a good character for that to happen to, Instead, he was saved and we got this sort of these touching moments with Dahlia remembering who he is and remembering how even when she didn't remember him, he was motivating her and his energy and his way of living. And she was able to stand up, to her abusive mother and the people bossing her around at work and at home. So that was nice. And then, of course, now we have Patty back at the end. So I think Belgum can rest easy. I like this as a surprise help. Entrance. That's part of the Zatch Bell 2 formula. We know that by now. I think it's still done pretty well at the end of this chapter. I can't say I was like fully expecting it. When Kyo said, plan R, get P, I was like, I don't know, they're doing something. I don't know. Clearly P was Patty. They were going to get Uluru from where, I'm not sure. If they went back to the demon world, they had someone else bring them. I don't really know. But that's that. Similar to last chapter, there's not too much to discuss in terms of next time that I didn't already say. But I do think we have quite a bit more to go in this arc. And is there anything else I was going to mention? I don't know. I feel like there was something I was going to come up with. I don't know. In any case, I think next chapter is going to be the last chapter of Volume 7, which will bring the entire Zatch Bell franchise up to 40 volumes, which is very impressive for a manga. This is 2 manga series, but, 40 volumes is, for even any franchise, is quite a long time. It's quite a long series. But I think that's that. So before we go, I want to talk about my prediction. I don't entirely remember when I made this prediction. I have to look it up. It's either over or it has a month left. The question arises, do we count break months as part of the prediction? Is it only on chapter months? Is it only on, days when I stream that I give prediction updates? Is that when it advances? I don't know. I'm kind of willing to say, let's say there's a month left right now. Let's lock it in at a month. If we don't get a manga announcement, localization for US, or a new anime announced within the next month, then the prediction will be wrong. And that's just that. That's just the way it is. I do feel like it's sadly unlikely at this point. It was interesting to bring it up every single month and go into, my nervousness about it happening or not happening. Mass Blue Knight says, I think Detective Conan has over 100. Yeah, it does. So I have kind of a fascination with the longest running manga in the world. I pretty frequently check the Wikipedia list for that, and know quite a lot about the various manga, especially the ones that are not super well known in the US. I have gone into these in some form. I don't know if it was on a Zatch Bell stream or where it was. I feel like it wasn't a Zatch Bell stream. I devoted a section to just checking out that page for a little bit. But I might want to make a full video on that, because those manga are so interesting to me, because, this may have been how I put it before, not only are these 100 volume plus manga some of the longest pieces of media we have in the world, but especially they're some of the longest pieces of media that are primarily creatively driven by a single person, which is the manga artist or an author, and they're the assistants they have, who are assistants. They're not the driving creative forces, and they have editors too, but so do many. Just like movies have producers, and authors have editors as well. And I find that super interesting. The biggest analog that we have over here is American comics, which change authors pretty frequently. You don't have many comics that have been running for 20, 30 years with a single person's creative vision. And that really fascinates me, in how these manga have grown and evolved over the years. I've been reading one of them, which is the number 7, number 9 or something longest, Baki the Grappler. I've been reading the original Baki series. I'm on volume 26 of that now, out of 155, and that's so fascinating to me, how that evolves over its different series. It's split up into different series, like a lot of these are. JoJo is. Kosaku Shima is another really interesting one. That's a business manga that's been running since the 80s, where the character ages in real time, and he rises up the ranks and has to deal with different things. That, I believe, is actually being scantilated, or was, last time I checked, by, I want to say, possibly by the guy who did the good scan of the original Zatch Bell series, who I think now does JoJo as well, scans for that. In any case, would really love to get some news soon. I'm kind of doubting it at this point, but let's say I have a month left in the prediction and just cross our fingers and hope. So thanks for popping in, Mass Blue Knight. I hope you go back and watch the earlier part of the stream. where I go through the chapter. It was a fun chapter. I think we're going to end there, 52 minutes. That's usually about the average of what I hit, I feel like. If you watch this stream later on, anybody, please leave a comment. I will read and respond. And despite, the breaks and the changes in schedules that we're going to be getting, I'm really looking forward to, when we get the next chapter. So thanks everyone for watching. See you next time and have a good night.